Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomena, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Ghost Education 101. I am Tiffany Frazier, and I am solo tonight. Heather could not be here. She had an injury, and so we are sending her good thoughts and healing energy and hoping that she feels better soon. But we still are going to do this show, and tonight we have somebody very special and fun to chat with us. We're going to just go ahead and get started right away with
Hi, everyone.
Bobbie RezNeck, or you said people call you Rez.
Yep, RezNeck has pretty much been shortened down to Rez. You know how show
Got
business is. Got to shorten the name somehow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight and welcome. So first I want to just kind of introduce you to the audience, and can you tell us who you are basically and what got you started in the paranormal?
Okay. Well, I'm Bobbie RezNeck Calkins, otherwise known as Rez. I'm a member of the Stockbridge Munsee Indian Tribe, Band of Mohicans. I'm a paranormal investigator, cryptid investigator, and a certified psychic medium.
That was new to me. I didn't know that. Okay, awesome.
Yep. I'm certified through the Independent Spiritualist Association. Let's see what else is there about me. For those I don't know, I grew up in the spiritualist religion. Both my parents were ministers and mediums. And as a young child, I was able to do readings and stuff like that. But when it came to time to go to school, they wanted me to have a normal childhood. So they kind of folded me back up, glued the third eye shut, and I kind of been battling to open it up all the way ever since.
Oh, wow. Okay. How interesting. And, for so many people, especially us who are in the paranormal field, most of us have had like that one instant, that one experience that happened to us. I know for me, I did. And that just kind of sparked something inside of us. And we were like, this is what I need to do. Did you ever have anything like that? What actually got you? What made you say, this is what I'm going to pursue in my life?
I kind of was born into it. With being a member of the Spiritualist church growing up, I knew there was life after death. I knew spirit communication, so it was part of the religion. And then for a lot of years, I spent watching the shows going, oh, I could do that, or call up bullshit for the ones that were actually overplaying it. And it finally took one day, I was sitting there watching a show, and my buddy was watching it with me. I'm like, that's BS. He goes, if you're so good, then why don't you do it? And pandemic rolled around, and I'm like, you know what? My kids are getting big enough now. I can start doing things for myself, have my own hobbies again. So I decided to reach out to some friends of mine that knew I had a team that had a reputable reputation, and kind of went full force from there. I've actually was, like I said, I was kind of born into it because one of my earliest memories of my dad was, with him being a minister, he was called out to a house that was having activity. And being a medium and a minister, he goes out, and he actually had to drag me with that. I
Mhm.
remember sitting on the couch and these people explaining to him what was going on, and they actually had videotaped some of it. And I remember him going back then. They had, like, it was right around Christmas time. They had like a blue or a green light they had in their hallway. He goes, "Nah, use a red light. It'll show up better." And look,
Mhm.
nowadays we use red lights, don't we? So it was kind of cool.
Right.
So yeah, living in houses that were a lot of spirit activity and stuff like that, I was kind of, like I said, I was born into it. It just
Mhm.
came second nature, and just was a matter of time till I could actually dedicate myself to this and actually do it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Now it's so interesting that you grew up in spiritualism. I actually, and I believe everything happens for a reason. Spiritualism was actually introduced to me um, within the last year, I would say. I was contacted by
Mhm.
somebody and they were having issues. And the second time I spoke to them, it was revealed that family members were practicing spiritualism, and I had no idea what it was. I had not heard of it, so I had to do a little bit of research. And there's with what this person was describing, it was not good. I'll just say that. There was
Right.
not good stuff happening. I really wasn't able to help this person. I gave them some resources and they kind of dropped off the radar. Um, but from what this person was describing to me, can you tell us, have you come across any misconceptions in spiritualism
Oh yeah.
and what they are, and do you want to clear them up?
Yes. Well, the biggest thing is a lot of religions say that communicating with spirit, you're not
Right,
communicating with spirit, you're communicating with demons or devil, or
right.
say what, and that's not even the case. It talks in the Bible about spirit communication. That, spirit has spoke to many different of the apostles and other people in the Bible, and that wasn't just the Creator or God speaking. That was spirit.
Right.
And another thing that people, with the negativity that people had, was there was a lot of people out in the old days that were faking what they're doing. So you got the charlatans, you got that dark concept. That's not even the case. Spiritualism is a philosophy, a religion, and a science. So it's all three of them wrapped up in one. And we use the Bible as a textbook, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we study and what we learn from. So, and we all believe in Jesus. We believe in God. We believe in the proper things that religion teaches us. But we also go that one step further, saying, okay, well, like the walls of Jericho. We'll use this example. It came crashing down because, God wanted them to. In all reality, yeah, God told them to go ahead and stop. And it wasn't because of God wanting them walls to fall. It was the vibrations that the stomping in unison through the ground created them walls to fall. It's
Right.
science.
Yeah.
So you take what science, what religion, and the philosophy behind it, and you mold it all together to come up with an infinite answer.
You don't see a lot of religions that will incorporate the science behind it.
No,
Like that's something that's pretty cool because you don't come across that very often, if at all.
no, and you always got to keep an open mind,
Hmm.
especially in the
Yeah.
world that we live in and the things that we deal with. If
Hmm.
you walk by closed-minded, then
Hmm.
everything's going to pass you by. Most of our children, when they're born, their third eye is open still. A lot of
Hmm.
times when they say they see something, they're actually seeing and experiencing it. But us as adults and as parents, oh no, that ain't real, or that's your imaginary friend, and basically you brainwash that out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a sad thing, because if we actually all took the time to believe in it and to work with it as humanity, we'd progress even quicker than we already are.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, is spiritualism, is that the same as the spiritualist kind of movement at the turn of the century?
That's where it kind of started. Yes.
Okay, okay. Just want to make sure I'm
Yep.
understanding it. Okay, awesome. Cool. So do you still practice spiritualism or
Yep.
do you kind of do you do? Okay.
I do. I actually kind of meld a little bit of everything together. I take my native side and a lot of the beliefs I've learned through that. I've
Hmm.
taken my belief in spiritualism, and what resonates to me is what I keep to my core
Yeah.
and what feels right.
I think that's so important because you run into a lot of people these days who, they've been told things and
Hmm.
they've been told, especially, you need to do it this way, otherwise X, Y, and Z can happen, and
Yep.
usually it's bad, right? And they forget, and I think we as a society also forget that um, we all have free will, and
Hmm.
we deserve to be able to think for ourselves and decide what, you use the correct word, resonates with us and what we should be living by. We are all individuals, and you don't have to live like I do and I don't have to live like you do, and that's what makes both of us so special,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
And one thing I have learned also, like with the native side of things, I had a teacher of mine come to me once. He goes, when it comes to our beliefs in the native side, why do you think everyone's kind of drawn towards that? Why do you think all the other cultures do? And I'm had to think about it. Like, I honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of cultures that take the native culture and they go, that's just amazing. That's um, just I can't think of the word I want to use. Majestic almost. And he basically told me, he's like, you got to realize, way back in the beginning of time, everyone had that connection to Mother Earth. Everyone had the
Mhm.
same connections that we do. But the problem is, through time, they lost some connections. So now they're hearing about our beliefs, and it's resonating within them. So that's what kind of why a lot of the different people out there that think that the native culture is so mystifying and amazing is because of the fact they had something similar at one point in time in their DNA. So
Yeah,
that's
so
why
they're
I like
kind
to
of
blend the
tapping
two.
into that. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's so interesting. So with your background in spiritualism and then also your Native American culture, how do you tap into both of those when you do investigations?
Well, the first thing I do anytime I go on an investigation or if I go out in the woods and I'm looking for something, I always go ahead and I drop some tobacco down. Tobacco is one of the most sacred things that the Creator gave to us for honoring and stuff like that. So I drop tobacco down and go say, hey, I'm here to speak with you. I'm here to give you a voice. I want to hear your story. I'm here to honor you.
Hmm.
So, and to interact with you guys, and, lay it on me. I'm here to
Hmm.
interact. I come in peace. So
Hmm.
that's what I bring from the native side, because that's kind of how they do things. And from the spiritualist side, I go, hey, I'm an open channel. You can speak to me, put thoughts in my head, communicate with me however you choose to do this. I can feel you. Let's make something happen. And that's the medium side of things.
Hmm. Hmm. So my own personal theory is there are a lot less demons walking around than people would like to believe.
Hmm.
We have evil people, and when we die, we're basically those people without bodies. You
Yep.
don't just magically change.
Nope.
Um, so when you go into investigations, when you go into places, what do you do to protect yourself? Because, like you just said, you're an open channel, and
Yep.
that can be dangerous. So how do you go into a place and protect yourself, not specifically from a demon, but just from, you know, a jerk who was terrible in life and is still doing terrible things in the spirit world?
Yep.
How do you kind of, because when you're trying to talk to spirits, you have to stay open. You can't just like put a wall up because then they can't get through. You can't get the information. So how
Right.
do you work with that? How do you talk to the good ones
Well,
and kind of keep the bad ones to the side? How does that work?
well, I normally don't have to worry about the bad ones. And in all
Uh-huh.
reality, the darkness runs from me. All right. And I've had plenty of experiences where I've gone in to places and you could feel something nasty there, but it
Hmm.
always stays a few rooms ahead of me. It will not confront me. I've only had one time where I was on my way to an investigation where something did confront me and eventually send me into an asthma attack. And
Wow.
when I got there, I did my normal tradition. I dropped my tobacco, and then I turned and said, for the one that was messing with me, you know, F around and find out. All
Hmm.
right. I don't play games,
Hmm.
because I know how to cross things over. I know how to banish things. I've done my research. So the darkness, I don't worry about that. Besides, not only when I go on on an investigation, it's not just me there. I have a whole tribe behind me that follows me around
I
of
love that you use that
teachers,
word.
ancestors.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I every time I go out on an investigation, it seems like I pick up more people that follow me that want to protect me and guide me and help me through my journey.
Hmm.
I've gone to sacred sites and had them say, hey, take some of the soil with you, put it in your medicine bag. So we're always with you. Know that we have your back. So I really don't worry about that. But what I do suggest though, for a lot of people that are just getting into this is learn the bubble method. Learn to bubble yourself around in God's white light or the creator's white light, however you choose to say it, because that's going to protect you. Another thing that has been brought up and taught to me was from my bestie, Christina. That's Christina Bloom. She uses the trailer hitch method. The little silver balls have done more damage and hurt more people than anybody on this planet. So you imagine yourself inside this chrome trailer hitch ball. So
Hmm.
therefore, nothing can get in because them things are so hard. They're not penetratable.
Right.
So there's the two methods there. Um, But like for me personally, like I just kind of go in. I have my normal armor on. I just kind of my energy. I vibrate brighter than most, so
Hmm.
darkness cannot stand in my light.
Hmm. And I think that's really important, especially for a lot of young people who just focus on watching the shows or watching the YouTube videos. They don't
Yep,
understand that if you go out looking for a particular thing,
yep,
you're going to find that particular thing.
yeah.
And if you don't know what you're doing, potentially bad things can happen.
And I'm gonna say this on the record. I've said this for years. If you're getting told over a spirit box it's a demon, I call BS. A
Hmm.
demon will not tell you it's a demon because then you have power over it.
Yeah.
A demon, for it to interact with you, you have to give it a right. RITE, right. Second, a demon's going to come at you playing innocent. It's going to be a child. It's going to be something like your
Yes.
grandma. It's going to find a way to get inside of you that way. It's
Hmm.
not going to come up and say, I'm a demon. No. Something comes across that box saying it's a demon. 9 times out of 10, it's some jerk that's a jerk in life. He's a jerk in the afterlife. So we keep our
Hmm.
personalities, like you said.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I just got to remember common sense when you're out doing these things.
Yeah, exactly. Common sense. That's the magic word.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not so
You brought
common
up,
anymore, but we got to
I
bring it
know.
back.
You brought up an interesting point, and it's one that I actually get asked a lot. You mentioned children. A lot of people, I'm sure you've gotten this question too. A lot of people will ask me, well, how can how can children spirits exist here on earth? Why would God be that cruel? Basically, is the question. And
well,
I want to hear what you think.
first off, if that child doesn't have an understanding of crossing over or is scared when it comes that time, they can be stuck here.
Mhm.
And then you have some that do cross over, but it's so much fun when they're here, they want to come back. I know of a location here in Wisconsin, Broadhead Manor. Tons of children are there. They're amazing. They're fun. They're bratty little kids. But you know what? They've all had the opportunity to cross over
Uh-huh.
and they kept coming back. So it
Wow.
means that had to been a spot where they were happy. They enjoyed
Yeah.
it. They loved hanging out with their friends and they love hanging out with the investigators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been there so many times, it's unreal, and you always get different things. And I've helped cross some over, and they've come back. So if it was that bad, it's not the case.
Yeah.
They have that choice. I was always taught growing up that when you cross over, you can either stay on that side, come back, or you wait for your next time for your next reincarnation.
Mm.
And there's a lot of spirits that choose to come back, watch over their loved ones, hang out with their friends, and just, go on with their afterlife. Let's call it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a theory that's pretty similar to that. I tell people, well, we all have free will. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're a child, you still have free will. And you brought up a very good point, one that I haven't thought of yet, and that is um, maybe they like it so much they went, but yeah, they just want to come back, and maybe they're going back and forth. We've taught some clients that too,
Yeah.
and kind of explain to them that what you can come back. You're not just like in a different realm, and okay, that's just how it is. They come back because, like you said, we see it
Yeah.
or we experience
We
it.
experience it all the time.
Yeah. So it's really interesting how people forget that this concept of free will, that it exists and
Yep.
it's real for every single being.
Exactly. Again, we got to have open minds. Not everyone
Yes.
has that.
Yes.
You know, that's the hardest thing. And once we let go of all these man-made concepts, and then we can actually look at the
Mhm.
bigger picture,
Yeah.
and you start seeing where, yeah, someone might have crossed over. How many times have someone had an experience with, oh, let's say like a grandmother coming back and looking over a newborn child, or looking over you,
Yeah.
or experience their mother who might have passed on a few years ago coming back to, you smell her perfume out of nowhere, and that
Hmm.
perfume's never been in your house.
Hmm.
How would that be possible if she didn't cross over and come back?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
You know?
Bill Walter says, just a bunch of grouchy old spirits. Yep.
Bill's actually owner of Broadhead Manor. I was just
Is
speaking.
he? Okay.
Yes,
That's one I need to
amazing
put on
guy.
my list. I'm going to put it
Yes,
on my list.
he
Yeah.
is amazing. He's a very good friend of mine. I consider him a brother. Love you, Bill. I see Caroline's in the chat. Hey, Caroline. Hey, Kimmy. Anybody else I might have missed here? Caroline's a good friend of mine from the Spiritualist Church down in Illinois.
Protection from the influence of negativity. I believe so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And,
Hey, Rick Wade. I haven't met
oh,
you yet,
sorry.
buddy. Looking forward to it. Let's see. Here we go.
Caroline, I've always told my kids I will be back. I've told them the same thing. I've also told them to record my dying process. My son and I do investigations. That's awesome.
Yes. Hey, I take my youngest son out with me now. He's gone on a couple of investigations. He's learning. I've actually had some adopted family of mine that's been going out with me now that I'm more of an independent. So it can be a family thing.
Yeah. Kimmy says, I love the name, Kimmy Corpse. I'm coming
Yes.
back to seeing 99 bottles of beer on the wall and haunt some people. Good
All
luck, guys.
right. Thanks, Kimmy. I'll know it's you when I hear it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You brought up a pretty an interesting topic there that you take your kids. My daughter wants to go. She's
Okay.
almost 14. And I'm like, you're not ready. You're just,
Right.
I'm her mom. I know her, and I know
Yep.
right now she's not ready. But it's kind of hard because she's constantly asking questions, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm trying to explain the best I can do is just like the scientific side, and she
Right.
sees the equipment that I have and stuff. And I've shown her how some of it works. But it's hard when you don't have that hands-on experience. And she's asked me a few times, she's
Yep.
like, when can we go? When can we go? And I'm like, not yet. Just, not yet. Recently she asked, she's like, I really want to go to Brushy Mountain. And she
Oh,
wanted to
that's
do
on
like,
my bucket list.
I did it a year and a half ago, about,
Okay.
and it's intense. It's, I mean, it was a ball. I loved it. I would love to go back, but I told her, I said, if we go, we're just going to do the daytime walking tour. You are not
That's
ready to do that kind of investigation.
that's a good way to get him broke in is do one of the
Yeah.
daytime walking tours. Now, my son, I made him wait till he was 18 before I took
And
him
that's
out
what I
on
was thinking
his
too.
own official
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I think he was 17. I took him out on a Bigfoot hike,
Hmm.
which is a little bit safer, but there were some other elements out in them woods that we came across, so I still had to be
Hmm.
careful with him.
Yeah.
But start training them now, the do's and the don'ts. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
there are some locations that are very safe to investigate, and that's where I'd take them first. I wouldn't throw them into the deep end. Um, one of the places I think is one of the safest places to investigate is the all haunted church down in Cicero, Illinois. It's the Evangelical Church,
Okay.
and it's actually one of the churches I grew up in. It was the parent organization to my parents' church. All
Okay.
right, so and it used to be an old funeral parlor. There's nothing bad there. It's all friendly, and there's been a lot of spirit communication done there over the years. There's a lot still there,
Hmm.
and that's a place where I'd take any beginner in a
Yeah.
heartbeat, hands down, so they get their feet wet. Another
Yeah.
spot that I feel comfortable with taking newbies to would be out to like Broadhead Manor.
Mm.
So and these are these places that I know personally that are safe, versus right off the deep end going to brushy, not for
I
your
told
first
her
one,
absolutely not.
not for your first one. I'm all the years I've been doing this and all the years I've been working with paranormal, I'm still waiting for my old crap moment. Where I scratch my head, go, what the hell did I get myself into? But that's the side of me that that's looking for it.
Yeah.
But I've managed to walk through everything I found. Like I said, darkness doesn't come around me. So I'm really interested. One thing that's on my bucket list is the old Joliet prison down in Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
I have an experiment I want to try and
Hmm.
actually make myself as vulnerable as I can be and see what happens.
Hmm.
See
Hmm.
what kind of answers I might get, what kind of communication or evidence we might gather.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good.
But I wouldn't suggest that to a newbie.
No, no.
You
I
know.
think so many people, it's so easy to get caught up in the thrill, to just be a ghost hunter and get caught up in the thrill. And, I've always said, because I had my first experience when I was 16. So this was like 2000-ish.
Yeah.
And, we, the shows were just becoming big and there was a lot of them. You didn't have YouTube. I think that
Yeah.
came a few years later, so there wasn't a whole lot of outlets. And it would have been really easy for me to go out and kind of just find a group and start, ghost hunting. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I didn't. I've always felt like, oh man, it took me so long to like get into it. But as I said this earlier, everything happens for a reason. And
Exactly.
taking, almost 30 years to get there or to get here was so beneficial for me because along the way I've learned so much. So what I always tell people is, if you're if you feel that itch and you have to do it, find people who have your back
Hmm.
100%. Are not, if you get scared, they're not going to be as scared as you, and they're not going to go running out of the building and leaving you behind.
Right.
um I tell people, I say, you think you're going to be brave, but when you see a shadow person, you're going to shit your pants.
Yep.
Bottom line. So you just have to kind of, let the ego go, humble yourself,
Yep.
and understand that this is real. And if you're going to do it, you have to be with people that you trust, and you have to be careful. You have to follow the law,
Yep.
and you just have to be smart.
Yeah. I'm the first one to preach, go find yourself a reputable team.
Hmm.
Find some that can teach you,
Yeah.
so you learn the proper way. Because there's a lot of people that are out there doing it, you know. All right, let me classify this. You might hate me for this, but you have ghost hunters,
Yes.
which go out there and do it for the thrill of things. They talk crap. They do whatever they have to do to get a response. You have paranormal investigators that go out and do it to try to find an understanding.
Hmm.
Your best bet is to work with a paranormal investigator, a paranormal researcher, someone that's actually in it for the right reason, not just for the thrill of it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you learn how to do it properly. There's so many people that are doing it wrong right now. And of course, you can see right on YouTube, everything's a demon, as we mentioned before. And them are just ghost hunters. They're doing it for the
Yeah.
thrill. They're doing it because someone dared them to do it. Or they thought,
Either
hey,
that, or they just want the views.
yeah,
They're making money off of the videos.
yeah. And those of us that are actually doing it to find research and try to
Mhm.
put the puzzle together, you don't get many views, but we're actually, if you watch the stuff, you're actually learning something.
Right. Right. And we're not in it for the profit either.
No.
We're
Oh,
doing it because we
sure.
have a passion.
Yeah, we all could overreact and like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the case. You ain't
Yeah.
gonna get that. There's only been, I think, one investigation where we actually will see me go, oh,
Hmm.
and that's we heard the whole team heard a disembodied voice out of nowhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
loud and clear. That's rare, and that was honest shock on my face because that was like the first time as a group that we heard something that loud.
Yeah.
It's one thing if one person hears it or maybe one or two, but the whole
The
team,
whole team.
and
Yeah.
we all had that same look on our face.
That's awesome. I heard one with a team member about a year ago, maybe almost 2 years ago now. And I remember I looked back at him. We locked eyes. I go, "You heard that?" He goes, "I heard that." And what was incredible was we were both wearing body cams, and none of our cameras picked it up. But
The crazy thing is, actually, the episode just got dropped from my old team that I used to be a
mhm,
part of. Of that moment, it was louder in the moment than what the cameras picked up, and we had, I think, 5 or 6 cameras running at the time,
yeah,
and we had to really amplify it up to barely hear what we heard loud as day, like somebody was in the room with us.
yeah, it's crazy. Caroline has a question. Is there an app in Google Store that you may find that actually works for recording? I personally use equipment, but just curious about apps. I'm not a fan of apps.
Yep.
You can, if you want to record on your phone, just use, what is it, the voice recorder, like on your actual phone. You don't actually need an app to do it.
One
Um,
one of my best EVPs came off of my voice recorder on my phone.
yeah.
I was out on location working on a case for someone, and we forgot the phone was recording. Threw it in the back of the
Mhm.
car, or actually, no, we threw it in the front seat. And a couple hours later, I'm outside, smoking a cigarette, sitting in the car, and I look down. Oh, it's recording. And at that time, when I was smoking a cigarette, I'm speaking to the spirit, going, I wish I could have got some answers for you. And I was really hoping to help solve this case. I look down, I see it's recording. I hit stop, I back it up, and clear as day, I have a little girl's voice on there, just right off
Wow,
my phone. You
that's
know,
cool.
it is. If you want, I could probably dig through the phone and find it real quick for if you wanted to hear it.
That would be awesome.
Hold on here. So yeah,
Well,
keep
while you're
asking
doing
away.
that, Anton has a question. He says, Rez, do you hold with the theory that spirits exist on a different dimensional frequency plane? If so, could they return to visit us just by changing their frequency?
Yes and yes. We have to raise ours, and they
Mhm.
have to lower theirs before we kind of can match. But yes, they do exist on a different frequency vein. They vibrate higher than we do,
Yeah.
if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And that's why when we are trying to communicate with them, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rez, you have to really kind of almost go into like not a trance state, but you have to clear your mind. You have to really relax because you have to be able to raise your own vibration to meet them.
Yep. That's where I run into issues because my mind's always racing.
Mm-hmm.
So when spirits communicate with me, a lot of times they'll imprint thoughts into my head.
Mm,
So it's not, I won't hear a voice, I won't see anything. I have in the past here and there, but it's mainly thoughts that are projected into my head. And a lot of times I'll get descriptions. I can tell you, like, hey, there's a gentleman behind you, crew cut hair, gray, blue eyes, real chiseled chin, and I can describe what he's wearing, but I don't see it. My mind
mm,
tells me I have, but I don't see it. I don't see it in my third eye, but I have that description like clear as day.
wow.
So yeah, it's a very unique, and sometimes it's very frustrating because you don't ever know. See,
Yeah,
but one
I
more
heard
time,
that.
but one more time for you guys.
Hmm.
And that's just off of the regular voice recorder on my
Yeah.
phone.
Hmm.
You
So you
know,
guys can go back and watch this episode at, if you want to, the timestamp would have been around 36:30, and you can hear the EVP that Rez shared with us. That was pretty cool. So yeah, to answer your question, Caroline, you don't have to have special apps at all to
no,
investigate. In fact, you don't have to
no,
have anything at all. Your best tool is you. Would you agree? Yourself.
yes. Everyone asks me, well, what's your favorite tool? Myself.
Hmm.
And I use the equipment to validate what I'm feeling or what I'm picking up on. Or a
Right.
lot of people, they use the equipment to get validation, in other ways.
Hmm.
So, I've had moments where I'm thinking one thing and I say it, and next thing you know, pendulums are going different ways, or the dowsing rods are answering yes or no, other equipment going off. It's your really best bet is to use yourself. You can feel temperature change. The eerie feelings that you might have when something enters your personal energetic bubble, because
Yeah.
we all admit that energy all around us.
Hmm.
So when something enters your bubble, you'll know it. You just got to
Hmm.
be open to it.
Hmm. So you said earlier that you were trying to, or you were working on opening your third eye back up,
Yep, every day.
and every day. And I'm sure some people are wondering, how does one learn to use their third eye?
Well, there's a lot of different books out there.
Hmm.
I've read a few. There's videos that say they do this, do that. My biggest thing is slowing my mind down and trying to meditate. With a brain that goes 240 all the time and constantly thinking 10 different things at once, it's hard,
Yeah.
you know. So that's one of the things. And then me personally, the more I get out, the more investigations I do, the more I get into the elements of investigations, it seems like more of it's starting to come through stronger and stronger.
Hmm.
So a lot of it's practice. You can practice even with animals, because they're sensitive to the vibrations and what we're picking up on. If you look at your dog, which mine's over here sleeping right now while we're
I
doing
have a cat right here. Yeah.
this. But basically they want food, they want water, they want love. But when you look them in their eyes and feel what they're looking for. And
Hmm.
that's a way to kind of open up. Do it with your friends. I'm sure you've done it in the past and I didn't realize it. Think about a friend of yours, for a few minutes, and the next thing you know, they end up calling you.
Hmm.
You know,
I've had that happen. Hmm.
that all works together.
Hmm. Awesome. Okay. Um, so I heard that you've done some Bigfoot research in the
Yep.
past, and you've
Oh yeah.
mentioned it. You've mentioned it a little bit since we've been chatting. What are your thoughts on Bigfoot? Is he real? Is he not?
Yes.
Is okay.
All right. Yes, Bigfoot is real.
Okay.
I think he's interdimensional, so he can swap between the two planes.
Okay.
First off, the reason why I'm so wholeheartedly believing that Bigfoot's real is in our culture, the Native American culture, we didn't talk about things just to talk about them, not like today's culture. If
Mm,
we had stories about it, it's a lesson in it or because it happened. All right. So in every Native culture, there's talk of the big hairy guy,
yeah.
whether his name's Sitonga, Nante Nook, Sabe, they're all in these cultures from natives all across, Turtle Island, which is known as
Hmm.
the United States, by the way. And so for us all to have this in our culture, in our lore, something had to be there, you know. And then with experiences I've had, I've been out in the woods and I've heard knocking. I've heard like giant footsteps and nothing show up on camera, nothing show up on thermal. And when you go into the woods and you look for it, there ain't no evidence of anything. So how do you explain that?
Yeah.
Um, I spend a lot of my nights cruising around the old logging roads up here and logging trails to kind of see if I can get a chance crossing. Because that
Hmm.
seems like where everyone catches them the most is at one chance crossing. I've done a lot of research up in the UP, Upper Michigan Peninsula. Um, yeah, it's just I think he's out there, and then also I think what he does, I have a theory on that, is he raises his vibration. That's how come you see on these shows where they'll see something 1 second on the thermal
Hmm.
and then gone. All right, I think what happens is he raises his vibration up to a higher vibration that we can no longer see it or even um can't see it, can't experience it because he's on a different plane at that point in time.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so definitely, I'm a big believer.
So that theory that Bigfoot is interdimensional, I know is
Mhm.
becoming more and more popular because
Yep,
I
the
know for
Woo camp.
years, yeah, I know for years people are like, well, he can't be real because we haven't found any bones. There's no evidence. And then people are like, well, maybe they bury their dead, but there's still no evidence, you know.
Yep,
So I mean, with everything else that we're finding these days, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Skinwalker Ranch and everything that they have found out there.
hmm,
Um, scientifically, interdimensional beings, yeah, sure, like
yeah,
why not, you know.
exactly. Another thing I have a theory of is I'd like to get together with a lot of different tribes out in
Hmm.
their original area where they inhabited back in the old days and find someone to go out in these woods and speak the native tongue.
Mm,
For the simple fact is my friend of mine, Mr. Barry Webster, he's Omaha Indian. They do Bigfoot walks out there, and when the elders told them, because they went to the elders first before they went out there, because
mhm,
all of our say, don't go mess with Bigfoot, you leave him alone, protector of the woods, or he's out there, just you don't mess with him. We don't interact with him anymore. He went, him and his, I think it was his son and his brother, they kind of went to the elders, say, hey, we want to go look into this.
mhm,
And his elders told him, well, you speak Omaha to them. Speak Omaha to Bigfoot, he'll understand. That
mm,
got me thinking. Then I heard about some girls that were Ojibwe that were up on a Bigfoot hike, and they were trying to call the Bigfoot and all that, and they had an EVP recording of someone speaking Omaha back to, or not Omaha, but Ojibwe back to them.
oh
So
wow.
that puts me on the theory going, well, I wonder if you take, for my people, anything out in New York in the Massachusetts area, we went out bigfooting out there, and someone was able to speak Mohican into the woods. If would we get a response back? So, and I have a feeling that yes, we would. I
Hmm.
think that Bigfoot to its territory would understand the languages of the original people for that area.
Mhm,
Because we used to walk hand in hand with them, according to the old stories.
mhm, mhm. So, should Bigfoot be feared?
No,
Okay.
um, as long as you don't bring anything bad towards them, I think you'll be
Right.
fine.
Right.
You know, it's no different than coming across a bear. I'm not scared of a bear.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know, you don't give it a reason to attack you. You don't do anything harmful to it. You'll be fine.
mhm, mhm, mhm. So, I'm interested. As you've been talking, I've had these thoughts go through my head. It's so interesting because it kind of makes you wonder, was Bigfoot on this plane to begin with, or was it always interdimensional? And if it was on Earth's plane, what made it become interdimensional and why?
Well, if I was to take just a stab in the dark at that one, I haven't really thought too much about it, but I think always interdimensional possibility that they use more of their brain than we do, considering we only use a small portion of our brain.
Mhm,
Who's to say they're not using more of it, which how they're able to raise their vibrations to change the dimensions.
mhm.
If we're able to unlock our true potential by our whole brain, who knows what we'd be able to do.
Right.
There's talks, there's things that say that man could levitate things with their minds.
Mhm,
You know, who knows if we ever figure out how to use our full brain, we might be able to do the same thing.
mhm. And I know a lot of people often associate when you mention using your full brain, they're going to automatically think about speech and complex problem solving. Um, but if you're using the whole part of your brain and not the other parts, that could be just as beneficial
Yep.
as using all the parts that create speech, music, art, things like that that we've kind of adapted to do. So perhaps they're just hopping into some spot in that brain and they're using much more of it or all of it, we don't know,
Right.
in order to become interdimensional. But then you're also talking about you're bringing physics into the loop there.
Right.
How do you become interdimensional? Like how do you do that?
Right. Yeah. Well,
So that's why I love this field because it's
one
never
que-
ending. It's
yeah,
never
one
ending.
question will bring up
Me
many
too.
more. There's plenty
Yeah.
of rabbit holes.
Yes.
Well, quantum physics, how's that work? You
Yeah.
put something out into the universe, you feel it, you want it, you see it in your mind's eye, and before you know it, you have it.
Hmm. Hmm.
How exactly does that work? But it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Courtney
So
says, Courtney says, the less you speak, the more you think. That's true. That is
yep.
true.
And you gotta be careful because sometimes being stuck in your head can be a very bad neighborhood to be stuck in.
Yeah. Lee Warner says, I'm hoping, planning to come during the harvest gathering.
Love you, Lee.
Mhm.
Yes, Lee's amazing. She's been with me since day one.
Aw, I'm always up for a sassy stroll. That sounds like fun.
Yep, we've gone for plenty of Bigfoot hikes and everything else. Done a few investigations together. She has been a huge supporter of mine.
That's awesome. And Anton says, one rabbit hole is the Montauk Project.
Yeah, that is one.
Awesome. I had a question that popped in my head and I should have written it down, but I didn't.
Bring it back. Bring it
I
back.
know. Bring it back, please. Um, So you're focusing more on like ghost, no, I don't want to say ghost hunting, paranormal investigations, that side of the paranormal. And as
Yep.
we've said here on the show many times, the paranormal is just an umbrella term for everything that we cannot explain with our
Yep.
current understanding of science, right? That is the paranormal. So with um, paranormal investigation, that's currently your focus. Um,
Yes.
do you, well, with everything that's going on in kind of in the paranormal world, that's something that I've been focusing. It's hard not to focus on it right now with the shows and everything.
Mhm.
Do you think the paranormal TV has a future, a good future? And when I say that, I mean in terms of, do you see society's way of thinking and understanding shifting so that it's not so focused on the sensationalism, it's not so focused on making money for profit and all of that, but actually interested in diving into these theories and trying to find the truth?
Um, yes, to a point.
Hmm.
What we need to do is get people more interested in the reality of it versus, like you were saying, the spectacle of it. You know, if we can get the people to actually start looking into the reality of what's going on, why is it going on, and actually opening their minds up and actually think about what's happening around, then yeah, it'll be good. But if you get people that keep putting stuff out there just to get the views and to make it a spectacle, then no, there's no future. It's run its course. You know, how many times can you watch them go, oh
Right,
my God, and run away?
right.
How many times can you hear, oh my God, it's a demon?
Yeah,
No, guys, it's not. It's
yeah,
overplayed.
yeah.
But for those that actually want to go out there and do the actual research, figure out why the spirit's there, what's keeping them there, and actually wanting to give them a voice and be a voice for the
Hmm.
voiceless,
Hmm.
and actually take that caring side on that most of
Hmm.
our projects out there don't, then yeah, we will have a future for paranormal TV.
Hmm.
You know, feature some of those with the abilities that are able to go out and communicate. Don't just rely on the team and the equipment. Rely on everyone as a whole and
Yeah.
feature everything and every ability that's there. And you might have someone that's really good that listens to Spirit Box that can hear stuff that we normally wouldn't, that we miss,
Hmm.
you know, or you might have a medium out there that is spot on that can pick things up. Feature these people and their special abilities,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I know that's so hard because you can't walk into a room and you can't say, okay, ghost, show up.
Right.
It's really difficult, and it's a field that you have to take on trust. And I think a lot of trust has been broken
Hmm.
over the years,
Yep.
and that has been really detrimental to people's understanding,
Oh yeah.
because now what they're seeing in their minds, it's fact, and it's not. Like, I use this example a lot because it's a perfect example, and it just goes to show how, the only word I can think of to use is desperate. How desperate people are to pass something off as truth. And I was in some Facebook group, and somebody posted a photograph. Of course, there was a child in the photograph, and they had used the marker on in their photo app,
Mhm.
and literally just drew a peach colored line through, and went in and was just asking, what are you guys feeling from this? Just,
Yeah.
you had a good amount of people saying, this is fake, you use the marker, remove it. But it took forever for the admin to get on it. I think it was up for at least a couple of days. And I just remember thinking, yeah, we have some people who are calling this person out, but you also have a whole slew of people, a good majority of them, who what it seemed like they genuinely believed that something was happening in this photograph.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to, what we were talking about in the beginning. You got, I say you guys, but you guys, as a society, we need to start thinking for ourselves and
Hmm.
logic and using logic and, process of elimination here and just really using a skeptical eye to
Yes.
weed
That's
out what is not true.
you can still be a believer and a skeptic at the same time.
Yes, yes.
Just
But
because you tell me a place is haunted until I experience it, I ain't claiming
ex-
it nothing.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and I've walked into places, people, oh, so activity and this, it was so crawling with this and that, and I walk in and go, it's gonna be a boring night.
Oh
And you
no.
spend the night just talking to yourself in the dark.
Yeah. We had a
Yeah.
question. Blue Moon Signs asks, good evening. I'm curious if Rez has had any personal experiences with the Hat Man. Great show.
Hatman himself, not really. I did as a teenager, when I used to walk across back and forth between my hometown. I did have a shadow man that followed me. When I'd stop and look, turn back to look around, he'd kind of just drift right back into a tree. So I've had that experience, but never the Hatman himself.
Mm. We had a couple other questions. Um, Michael says, get their story out, show compassion and caring for these spirits. You can get fantastic results. Absolutely, 100%. I
Exactly.
agree. Yeah.
Uh, I for one of the things I've been saying is I want to be a voice for the voiceless.
Mm-hmm. 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 And also, I think um, not just for the spirits, but also for living people who have had these experiences and they don't know where to turn to, or they feel
Yeah,
alienated because they've been taught whatever, or maybe they have shared and people don't believe them. And so they feel like one, they're going crazy, or two, they just are alone in the world.
yeah,
And that's obviously, and I know that's not true, but it can feel very lonely when you're carrying an experience with you and you don't know who to trust, who to tell, if they're going to think you're crazy, and that's hard.
yeah. It is, and even in my own experiences, when I was younger, sometimes I thought I was going crazy.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I was willing to actually open my eyes up and accept everything around me that I found my own comfort.
Hmm. Hmm.
In this crazy rabbit hole we call the paranormal.
Yeah. Feature those people using their special abilities. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Question: how's the walkabout products going?
it's still going. For those that didn't know, I spent I believe it was 8 weeks this summer on the road with Gwen Johns filming Paranormal Walkabout. So we're still in post production. Hopefully, it'll be out next year. But that's when I was telling you behind backstage, all the places I went. Yeah, that was the whole Paranormal Walkabout project. Little backstory is, Gwen had her reasons for doing it. Me personally, I had a bunch of key people in my life kind of walk out that I never thought was going to happen. And I
Mhm.
needed to get out of town for a while. And talking with Gwen online, she's like, you know what? I'll come up and hang out for your birthday, and then we'll just go for a ride and go do some filming, go see what happens. So I spent the majority of the time trying to figure out who I was again because I was recently single,
Mhm.
and doing something I love is working with spirits. So that's what that whole project came out, and Hopefully next year by this time we'll have it packaged and ready so everybody can see where we went, what we did.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to have you back on so you can share all of the updates. That's
Yep.
exciting. And then we've got Blue Moon also asks, invisible until your emotional state tunes into it, creating interaction through harmonic resonance. That is a beautiful way to put it. Much
Yep.
like how certain frequencies make bridge collapse or glasses shatter. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right on.
I love that.
Yes. And I seen that yep, that one. That would be one of my cousins up here on the reservation. Yeah, there has been people up here that
Yeah.
have had, the Hat Man experiences up here. Hat Man, Goat Man. There's a lot of things that
hmm
are up here in these woods.
Do you experiment with frequency technology of any kind?
Not at this time. The closest thing I've done like that would be there was someone that tried to use frequencies to see how they affect the body, like how predators use, your
hmm
predatory animals, stuff like that, the infrasounds,
hmm
or a little bit off the YouTube channels where they had the different frequencies they use for what was it, bionic beats and stuff like that.
Binaural, yeah.
Yep,
hmm
that's it. But not too much.
hmm And Teresa says, I always feel warm and protected in the woods.
Yep. Teresa's a great woman. I've known her for a couple of years now. She's amazing. And yeah, she's always in the woods.
Yeah.
Yep.
I run into that a lot with my research. Folks are scared to tell about it for fear of ridicule, but
Yep.
they are absolutely real. You're right.
You
I've
know,
shared on the show many times that I kept my experience to myself until I was almost 30, and it was my husband. He was the first person I told, and I kind of had to because I walked in the room and he was watching one of the shows, and on the TV they had flashed like a sketch of what a shadow person would look like, and I froze because I didn't think I'd ever see something like that again because the sketch was exactly what I saw, and so I had to confess to him that I had seen it
yeah,
in real life, so
yeah,
yeah. Anton, Tiffany, but it's hard to find people to help validation and guidance to move forward. Many are happy to just accept just a scratch as positive proof. Yeah.
yeah.
I knew the moment I saw it though, it wasn't so much fear, like I was scared, but it was more of I just knew deep down I was going to figure out what it was someday. That's what fueled my interest in the paranormal. Did you have any experience that like triggered you and you said, okay,
No, nothing really that kind of made me go, okay, I'm going to go do this. It was like I said earlier in the show, I grew up with it
yeah.
and calling BS on the shows or saying I could do that. And one of my close buddies calling me out, well, if you can do it, then go do it then.
Yeah,
That's
great.
what
That's a
made
good
it
friend.
happen. Yeah,
That's a really good friend.
he got tired of yelling BS at the screen all the time. Because one thing that drives me nuts is when something happens and they cut and run. That
Yeah,
just irritates the hell out of me. You're there to do this, and
yeah.
when it shows it up in your face, why are you going to run? Why
Or
aren't you
scream your
there
head off.
experiencing
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
You just ask them to make a noise or knock
yeah.
and you're
They
screaming.
they validated what you asked for,
Yeah,
and you run.
yeah.
What sense does that make?
It doesn't.
All right. If you start knocking after I ask you to, then I'm going to start talking to you some more. I'm going to ask for other things to happen. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah,
Let's interact. Let's play.
exactly. On the subject of cryptids a little bit more, because I mentioned Skinwalker Ranch earlier,
Mhm.
does your culture have Skinwalker or something like the Skinwalker?
Up north here we have the Wendigo.
Okay, I've heard
You
of the
know,
Wendigo. Okay.
yep. Basically, a lot of it has to do with lust and a hunger, a thirst that can never be quenched. And
Mm,
eventually it gets to the point where it starts eating itself and eating flesh because nothing suffices that hunger.
wow.
Your skinwalker, that would be more of the Southwest tribes, your Navajos.
Hmm.
And there's certain things that they have to go through to become a skinwalker.
Hmm.
I believe in most tribal traditions, there are shapeshifters.
Right.
So that's where I think a lot of people are getting confused.
Hmm.
You're not going to have a skinwalker all the way up here in the cold.
Right.
And
What?
that's where a lot of people are like, oh, well, they live up the Northeast. And they're afraid to say the word. Well, why? It's not part of
Yeah.
your culture. It's
Yeah.
not from your territory. You
Exactly.
have puckwudgies up here. You got Bigfoot. You got, Wendigos, stuff like that.
I was talking to somebody a while back, and they were terrified to say the word skinwalker. And they're not Native American whatsoever.
Yeah.
Live out west, but not part of that culture. And I asked them, I said, this isn't your culture. Like, why are you so afraid of it? Because I was just starting to really dive deep and I had just started school and I like I said, this is a passion of mine. So I'm going to go out there, I'm going to try and find out, research everything I can, and just to be educated and understand it, right?
Yep.
And they were just dead set on they would not talk about it. They wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And I think, you brought up a really good point. Um, and a theory that I've been working on lately is how we perceive the world around us
Hmm.
depends on what is actually fed to us,
Yeah.
both in childhood and in adulthood, because we do evolve and we do change over time. Um, so what, what's your take on, and it doesn't just have to be skinwalker, but, we can use spirits. There are a lot of people in the world who won't do anything that has to do with seances or spirits. I know spiritualism it deals a lot with seances. I do know that. What do you think, or how much of our culture, especially now with TV and social media, feeds this fear? Because I highly doubt that, 30 years ago this person knew anything about skinwalkers. It all came from TV, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
how what would you say to a young person who kind of comes off as the person I'm describing, as, they're
Well,
getting their information off of TV, off of YouTube. They're not reading literature of past paranormal investigators who, poured their lives into this field and shared, everything they learned. Um, that can be really dangerous.
yeah. First off, human ways is the fear of the unknown.
Hmm.
That's part of the human psyche. We all
Hmm.
fear what we don't know, what we don't understand. That's why there's so many people afraid about, the aliens coming down,
Hmm.
or why so many people are afraid of the paranormal when it's natural. Um, you got to also realize in life, there's nothing to fear but fear itself in all reality.
Hmm.
You know, you need to take a minute and go, okay, what am I really afraid of? Is
Right.
it my mortality I'm afraid of? Is
Hmm.
it afraid of that something can harm me from the other side that I can't see? And nine times out of 10, they ain't gonna harm you. They can't harm you. You have the ability to protect yourself.
Hmm.
You need to learn to put fear aside. Because the negative ones, the ones that were jerks in real life, they're going to feed on that fear.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna play with you.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you're going home, and if you do what's right, they're gonna stay where they're at.
Mhm.
You know, when it comes to all this spoon-fed stuff from online and TV shows about skinwalkers and all the different cryptids out there that that people are trying to be put fear down your throat. Remember, if you see it on TV, it is for ratings.
Mhm.
It's for entertainment. 9 times out of 10, what you see on YouTube is for entertainment. They're trying to get you into your fears.
Yeah.
Why do you think haunted houses is such a big thing? Haunted attractions every Halloween. We
Mhm.
spend billions of dollars in this nation to go get scared by paid actors.
Yeah.
That's because, and don't you think Hollywood knows this by the horror genre? So when you spoon feed all that in, you have to realize what's real and what's fake.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest thing that, with these young ones that are getting into this, don't watch your ZBs and the other people out there that go ahead and provoke and try to strike fear into you for doing this.
Mhm.
You want the ones that are legit, are honest, that are communicating and trying to be that voice and tell the stories and let you know about the history and the facts with
Right. Again,
it. So,
think for yourself.
yeah,
We can't stress it enough, guys.
no, you got to learn, and there's a lot of people that don't know these things. They just go by what
Yeah.
they hear.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Does anybody else in the chat have some questions that you want to ask either me or Bobbie? Oh, we have a couple questions here.
Uh,
Slightly misinformed. Oh, I saw a question. Let me go scroll back, guys. Hold on. Maybe not. Maybe I misread it. Teresa says, my house is a place for my things. My home is in the woods.
Yep,
Like it. I like it. I like it. I don't
that's
know. I'm
right.
getting old. I can't sleep on the ground anymore. So,
I got a futon mattress I take with me.
do you really?
Yep.
That
Let's
irritates
see.
me too. I'm assuming she's speaking to the TV shows. Right on. Me three. Never feel you have to prove anything, just share your discovery. I
Exactly.
think, being just authentic. Your
Yeah.
authenticity is your greatest tool, guys.
Yep. Yeah. And that's another
Mm.
thing. When we do content, everyone's so quick to push, say, oh, this is haunted, or
Yeah.
this is Bigfoot activity. Put it out there and let the public decide what they think it is.
Hmm.
Let them
Yeah.
make their own choices. Put out what you found and leave it as that.
Hmm.
Don't try to guide them to believe that it is what it is or what you think it is. Let them make their own decisions.
Right. Lee says, Amen. Sean L. Stevens. Really, I'm assuming this is all to do with,
Let's see here. Yep.
you see one.
Sean says you should do a show. You should do a show on what
There
to
it
do
is.
if you feel paranormal activity on a spiritual. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
definitely. Because
Yeah,
then we
I
can
think
start.
that's
Sean,
so important.
you can come on Red Road with me. We'll do that show. We'll give them the native side of things and the spiritualist side of things. Again, my cousin, so and he's actually been a regular on my podcast. Amazing teacher, guy's a wealth of
Awesome.
knowledge.
I have a question for
So,
you for the Native American culture.
mhm,
Smudging.
yep.
It's controversial to smudge or not to smudge. What's your take on it?
Okay. So first off, it's something I do a lot.
Mhm.
All right. Um, Now, if you're talking at home, in your own personal home, you have to believe in it. Whatever you use,
Mhm.
whatever you do, it all boils down to your beliefs, the beliefs of the practitioner. So if you believe that smudge stick's going to clear your house and you believe it in your heart, it will. All
Mhm.
right. When I'm doing a client's house, if they believe that it will help and what I'm doing is going to help them believe in their heart, it works. But the
Mhm.
minute you have one person that's involved with that doesn't have that true core belief, it's like the turd in the punch bowl. It's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Yeah.
So, I've been on both sides of the coin where people are like, well, what if they're not Native American? Should they still smudge?
Right.
Wicca's been using sage for years,
Mhm.
but they believe they have that belief inside them that
Yeah.
it's going to work.
Mhm.
We as natives, we use certain medicines because we believe the creator gave them to us to use. So if you don't have the proper belief system, then don't bother
Mhm.
because you're wasting your time.
Mhm.
But if you believe and you have that conviction in your heart, by all means.
Mhm.
And there are ways, like when I smudge, everyone's got to go, but I leave kind of like a back door open to loved ones, to family members,
So
those that are
important.
there to
Yeah.
better suit my journey and protect me. They're allowed to stay. But
Mhm.
everything else has got to go.
Mhm.
And you got
Mhm.
to remember when you do smudge, start at the bottom, work your way up to the top, but you have to leave a window or a door open for them to leave. All your windows and doors are closed. All you're doing is smoking yourself out.
Right.
You're not they can't leave if you don't give them an exit. So
Mhm.
you got to remember that.
Right. Great.
That's strong in faith.
How do you how do you feel about doing spirit work in your home?
Um, Mediumship, pendulum, yes, I do. But I read my cards at home. As far as equipment, no,
Mm.
I don't use my equipment in the home. That was just something that when I came out publicly to a team, that was one thing. They're like, I don't do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, sounds like a good rule to me,
Mhm.
you know. But as far as if I'm doing pendulum work or if I'm doing readings, that's spirit work. So,
Mhm.
and then again, it's who I allow in, you
Right.
know. It's not me going, okay, anyone want to talk? You
Yeah.
know, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
specific at that point.
Yeah.
And then I make them see you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. You always have to say goodbye and close it.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Whether you're working with a piece of equipment like electronic equipment or cards or anything,
Yep,
even dowsing rods, you need to close that door.
exactly.
Oh, we just did that one.
Yeah, we looked at that one.
Or you have an awesome tent set up for yourself. You
Yes.
guys need to
There,
go camping.
well, there's been some paracons we've actually both been to,
Mhm.
and be like at the last minute, hey, Rez, come on down to the paracon. Well, I got nowhere to say. I got a tent for you. So have a huge tent set up for me. My own little
Lord,
palace. Like I said, Lee's awesome.
that's awesome. There are other cultures that smudge throughout the ages, such as the Celtics. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And some of them use other things other than just sage.
Hmm.
Some use, frankincense and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You
Lavender
know,
is a big one.
you know,
You can actually buy the bundles of both sage and lavender bundled together.
yep.
Um,
I've seen, sage with dragon's blood. I've seen,
oh.
one of the things I like to use when I do actually like a deep cleanse
Hmm.
is cedar.
Oh yes, I have heard of.
Cedar,
Yeah, you can use cedar.
cedars are
Okay.
very strong. There's also someone who taught me once to use pine tar water. which
Oh,
will cleanse a room like ain't nothing coming into that room after a while. For a while. Um,
strong in your faith, always, doesn't matter
yes.
what it is.
Yep.
Or at least some type, just believe that there is something higher than you
Exactly.
and good. Yeah.
Yep.
All kinds of benefits that burning sage does. They have proven this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Teresa says, good stuff, Rez. John, whatever Mother Earth makes is for us in many ways. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be connected to Mother Earth. And
Hmm.
there's many plant medicines out there
Hmm.
that a lot of us don't even know about.
Yeah.
That are good for several different things.
Hmm. Hmm. Let's talk about seances because I know that's very big in
Hmm.
spiritualism. So the stuff we see on TV,
Hmm.
how true is that?
Well, I've only witnessed a few seances. Um, TV, movies, BS.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I've never seen anything up and move during a
Hmm.
seance. I've never seen a table rattle. Um, I've The only thing that I've seen where I think maybe once I seen like the candle kind of flare up some,
Hmm.
but nothing like they show in Hollywood.
Hmm.
The majority of the seance I've seen is medium tuning in to whoever was there and allowing them to channel through them.
Hmm.
So, um, I'd love to see some of the stuff they show on TV. I think that'd be cool as hell, but but that's Hollywood for you.
Right. And seances in spiritualism, that is used to, correct me if I'm wrong, because in spiritualism, you believe that the consciousness does survive the death of the body, and the
Hmm.
person is still just the person. They just don't have a living body anymore.
Correct.
So it's just used to communicate with loved ones, right? Kind of
With
like you would
anyone.
just pick up, yeah, okay, just like you would like pick up a phone and like have a phone call and
Kinda, yeah.
okay.
It's no different than a reading, except for,
Hmm.
you're sitting around a table or you're sitting in a group. Your basic reading, is another form,
Hmm.
because you're communicating with someone on the other side and you're the instrument that they're communicating through to the person that they want to speak with,
I see.
you know. So that's pretty much basically what it is.
Hmm.
You're allowing yourself to be that tool for the other side to get their message out.
Hmm. He says, I use sage, cedar, sweetgrass, and tobacco. Okay,
Yep.
that's a cool mixture. Okay.
There's a lot of tribal beliefs that actually mix them.
Mm.
I typically don't,
Hmm.
but that's just my personal beliefs. So, but yeah, I use one of them at a time. And I always, like I said before, I lay tobacco out all the time for those that I'm communicating with.
Okay. At a seance at Gale's, the EMF meter lit up when Gail Christensen talked about the train.
Yep.
Okay, there's a story there.
Yeah. Gail's house. Gail has an old train. I believe it was from the early 1900s, and basically it's haunted. We
Hmm.
have a conductor on there by the name of Gus, and there's a little girl that was also on it. Also, uh, kind of funny. The night that I met the little girl, me and my ex-wife were up there, and it's the first time she ever stayed in a haunted location with me.
Hmm.
And we're on cots across from each other. I'm sitting there laying down. It's the end of the night, and in my head, I see like this little girl kind of creeping up, around the same age as my grandkids. And I pull the "Don't you dare," because I could see her wanting to tickle my feet, kind of doing one of these things. Next thing I know, not even a minute later, my ex is gone. oh, I got restless leg syndrome or something's tickling me. You know,
Wow.
it was funny. But back to the seance, yes. We were there with Christina Bloom, and it had to be, we were up there for, I believe it was one of the metaphysical events we were attending. We decided to have a seance one night. And when we were speaking about the train and those on the train that we were trying to communicate with, the EMF detector was going off, you know. So we were getting both acknowledgement from Christina, who was in a trance, and then the equipment that we had set up around the room.
Wow. And that's the perfect example where you're using the devices to corroborate what is happening.
Yes.
That's the way it's supposed to be used. It's not supposed to be used when you walk into a room and it's lighting up and, oh my God, there's a ghost here because it's spiking. You know,
Yep.
perfect
You know,
example.
yeah, we just got to learn to tap into ourselves a
Yeah,
little more and actually not rely on the equipment.
exactly. Yeah. Teresa says, I had a little bump on piece of plastic came out of thin air after a treatment with some ladies. There were four of us, and we all saw it come out of nowhere and drop onto the floor. Interesting.
You know,
Okay.
well, we've had experiences where, put your keys down somewhere and you go back 10 minutes later and they're not there, and you search the whole house and you go back to the first spot and then they're there again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That kind of what I'm thinking that is,
Mm-hmm.
spirit kind of messing with you, making things change dimensions and
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about, you've mentioned your podcast a couple of times. Tell us
yep.
about that. What is it about?
Well,
And where can people listen to it?
Red Road Paranormal.
Mhm,
Originally started out with me and Christina Bloom, my
mhm.
former co-host and founder. She's since retired from the show, so I have taken a huge hiatus, probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. And so I'm just bringing it back. It'll be on the All Access Television Network, right on YouTube, and you can find it on Red Road Paranormal Podcast on YouTube channel. It's all about the Native American legend, lore, culture, the paranormal and the supernatural with it, along with bringing our friends aboard from the paranormal and the metaphysical worlds, and
Mhm.
kind of getting to know everyone and kind of
Nice.
seeing where different things blend and mesh together.
Mhm.
And then a new feature to the channel will be anything that I do in the paranormal world, as far as investigations or any of my trips I go on. I'll be uploading content to that channel also from everything I do.
Okay. And it's Red Road, RED
Yep. RO.
RODE.
Yep. Red Road Paranormal Podcast. And what the Red Road is, it's the path, the how they used to tell you a story about the path less traveled was more
Mhm.
rewarding.
Mm,
Native culture, that's the Red Road.
got it.
You're walking with Mother Nature, you're going down that path,
Mhm.
and you're trying to be at one with everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yes.
That's fantastic. Okay. Well, Bobbie, I
Oh,
don't have.
road.
Oh, is there
Nope.
more?
Misspelt road. ROAD. Road.
ROAB.
Yep. Road
Good.
like the road.
There we go.
Hey Mike G, a buddy of mine there. Pop in.
There it is. Okay. I can barely type my name most times, guys. So
That's okay. If it wasn't for spell check, you wouldn't understand a word I say when I type things out on Facebook.
I'm sorry about that.
So since we're sitting here chatting, what has
Yeah.
been your freakiest experience ever since you've been in this field?
Since I've been in the field, actually quite recently, I think it was back in November, I was investigating a house in Savannah. And my whole team was there. And nothing was really happening. The house has a lot of stories that go with it, and it seemed pretty active, but we hadn't gotten anything, as you usually do. It takes time, right?
Yep.
So we're all sitting, well, most of us were in the downstairs parlor, and we were doing an ITC session, so I had the spirit box going, and I was kind of crouched down, just kind of trying to get comfortable in the space because I wasn't feeling anything. And I was asking just some random questions. And I felt this kind of like sensation on my back.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, that's, and we always say you trust your first instinct. I didn't hear, but I was like, I can't, there's no way, right? No way. So a few seconds go by and I feel it again, but I feel it much strongly. And I feel what felt like my shirt being like grabbed and tugged up.
Okay.
So I grab my back and I jump up and I'm like, something just touched me. Because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way something grabbed my shirt and like tugged it up. Like, there's just no way.
Right.
So my first instinct was just to say, something touched me. So the night goes on. And about a week later, a team member of mine is reviewing a specific camera that we had forgotten was pointing straight into that room, exactly where I was in view, in full frame. And you can see my shirt being gripped and pulled up.
Nice.
And I was like, oh my God, I knew that's what I felt. And I was so excited. And some, excuse me, some people on the team were like, oh my God, the guy was going for your butt, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't care. It actually happened.
I think he was trying to go up your shirt, second base. You never know.
I don't know. I showed my husband. He's like, yeah.
How do
I
you
showed it.
feel about
Yeah, he didn't
that?
care. I was like,
He's on the other plane.
this
I ain't got to worry
this
about that.
actually happened. I was just and I'm still excited about it. Like to have something to like have an experience and then to have it on film,
Yep.
that doesn't happen very often. So that was just really exciting for me. Um, and I showed it to Heather and she's like, yeah, it looks like somebody pulled your shirt up. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I wasn't, I wasn't going crazy, but in the moment, even as paranormal investigators are guilty of it. Like in the moment, I was like, there's just no way. Like,
Yep. We second guess ourselves all the time.
yeah, all the time.
Yep.
So that was the most recent. And then, like I shared earlier in the show, I heard a disembodied voice about 2 years ago. Um, and I was so thankful that I had a team member with me. We were in a historic building in Atlanta, and we can't disclose the name of it or anything, but it's a very, very historic building. And I like to say we were literally in the bowels of this building. We were surrounded by stone all around us, the original foundation. And there was nobody down there. It was probably 10 o'clock at night. And we were still setting up because we couldn't show up until late in the evening. And I had taken a previous tour to kind of get the layout because it was so big. And so my team member had not yet been there. So I had taken him down to show him where we were going to set up this camera. And I got turned around because it's just such a huge building. I was like, oh, no, this is a dead end. We got to turn around. I took a wrong turn. So we turn around and we start walking the way we came. And there was a woman speaking, clear as day. Could not understand what she was actually saying, but it was a woman's voice just speaking.
Yep.
And I that's what I said earlier. I turned and I looked at him. I said, tell me you heard that. And both of our eyes were just like saucers. And it was hilarious because he's much more of the skeptic,
Yep.
but he heard it and you could kind of see the excitement in his eyes. And we both start looking around and he went this way, I went that way. Nobody was there. And I was like, you just heard of this somebody. I was so excited. And I immediately got on the walkie just to make sure there was no other team members down there with us. And I was like, well, we just heard a disembodied voice. Please, somebody get a handheld down here so we could get it set up and blah, blah, blah. We didn't
Right.
catch anything else that night. But like I was saying, we both were wearing body cams. Um, Mine didn't pick up anything. He said, just barely picked it up. I mean, it wasn't even possible to enhance what we thought where on the the recording it was.
Yeah.
He said he thought he heard it, but it was
Yeah.
just, it's one of those things where I have to explain to people, there's a theory, and I think the theory is legit, that when we receive these kinds of communications, kind of like what you were saying, they're communicated to us psychically. It's not, they don't have voice boxes, they don't have
Yep.
bodies, they're not actually speaking, but they're consciously, psychically imprinting their voice or thought, image, whatever it is, either into our minds or onto like whatever device we're wearing or using. That's how they're communicating. It's psychically. So, I had to explain to my daughter that we were getting psychic impressions of this person's voice. It's basically
Yeah.
what it was. And that was pretty cool.
Nice. That's
And my
awesome.
first one was, I shared I saw a shadow person when I was 16. And then when I met my paranormal team, what really solidified it for me was they were doing a public investigation, and I had signed up to do it
Hmm.
because I knew I wanted to somehow get into this field. And I went and I took my handheld night vision camera and I had it set up in this building that was, we locked it from the outside, and it was they called it the store, and it was an old wooden building that they had moved from another location just to put on this historic property.
Hmm.
And we had locked it because it was kind of a sketchy, it's a sketchy area, so everything was locked up. Well, I left my camera rolling in there, and I get home like the next day, and I'm going through the footage. Didn't catch anything visually, but you can very clearly hear very heavy footsteps.
Yep.
And I sent it to Philip, and I was like, tell me I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing. And he said, hell yeah, I hear it. And
Yep.
so it was that moment where I was like, okay, this is legit. This is real. It was my camera. I know it was in there for this amount of time. The building was locked. There was only one door. There was no way to explain it.
Yeah.
So,
I've had cameras pick up, whispers and conversations that you can barely
mhm,
hear,
mhm.
and no one's near it.
No one's there.
You can't explain it because you can account for everybody outside off other cameras where everyone is.
Yeah.
'Cause usually everyone's got a camera going on them at all
Mhm.
times. So
Yeah.
you can account for everyone where they're at, but you have the ones that are going inside the building and they're picking up activity even when you're not even there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've experienced that quite a bit over the years.
It's incredible. It really is. Like I still get giddy when I come across a really, really good EVP.
Yep.
Like, and I've
Same.
I've listened to, how many hours of audio, and
Yeah.
every single time still I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And that's one thing people also don't think about.
Mhm.
So if you go on an investigation and you're doing this like we do, you have 5 hours in the location, let's say. So that's
Mhm.
5 hours for every camera, every recording device that you have. Before you know it, you have 50 hours of review to
Mhm.
find one thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of people get lost with, oh, it's too
Mhm.
much work. But then you
Mhm.
get those of us that when we get into it, it's like you can't stop. My problem is I have so much footage to go through still. I know once I start, it'll be like 24 hours. I'll lose time.
Oh yeah.
because I'll be booked right into, just zoned right into the computer or the TV, whatever I'm watching it on. And unfortunately, I got to work still, so
Yeah.
I can't spend a 24-hour gap of losing time and not being able to do the day job thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I have to force myself to back away from the computer every now and then. Because it sucks you in because you're like, especially if you capture something and you're like, okay,
Yep.
there's got to be more. There's got to be something else here, you know?
Yeah,
So it's addicting
it is. It
to say
is.
the least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa has a question. Have you had a near-death experience? I have not.
Well, I was never supposed to see the light of day. My When I came a few weeks early, and before I was born, the doctor came out and told my father he had an option, either a wife or a son. He
Mm,
wasn't going to be able to save us both. And basically, my dad said, "Well, I can make another son. I can't make another wife,"
mm,
which I don't blame him.
yeah.
I really don't. But I came out kicking and screaming, say, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I made it this many years later.
Yeah.
I've been in some accidents and been through some things where I probably shouldn't have walked away, and I did.
Mhm.
So there's a reason I'm here.
Yep. There's always a reason.
You know? Leigh, paranormal activity at my job.
Oh.
Well, yes, this one I haven't spoke about. Um, it wasn't me personally. I had a coworker that was out by the trash compactor, heard a big bang, and looked around and didn't see nothing. Surveillance actually had the footage, and I got to meet them and talk to them later on. And I asked them about this, and they go, "Yeah, they watched a hand cart that was like this on its back come up and bash against the dumpster." You
Wow.
know, exactly. So I can't disclose where I work because I don't want
Mhm.
anybody bugging them. But yeah,
Right.
that's the one of the experience I've heard, and I've heard of other people in the kitchen area having uh, eerie feelings or hearing whispers.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah. Workplaces workplaces can be, I like to think of workplaces just like hotels. You
yeah,
have so many personalities, so many people coming in and out on a daily
yeah.
basis.
Well, everywhere we go, we leave some of our energy behind. We leave that
Yeah.
mark. And now,
Yeah.
if you're there every day, 50, 60 hours a week, over and over and over again, you're going to leave a strong amount of energy.
Yeah.
And far as I'm concerned, all hotels are haunted. All
Yeah.
right. Not only from the energy we leave behind from all of us going there, but how many people go to a hotel to do bad things that they can't do
Mhm.
in their own home to hide? How
Mhm.
many of them go there to give up on life?
Yeah.
How many of them go there to do things they're not supposed to be doing?
Mhm.
So all that compiles in them spaces, and it's night after night after night after night. So you're going to have some kind of activity there, whether it's residual or if it's actually, actually interacting true spirits.
Mhm. Yeah. There may not be paranormal activity everywhere, but everywhere has spirits. That's 100% true. I firmly
Exactly.
believe in that. Yes. I tell people
All around
they're
us.
everywhere. Every time
Yep.
we do a private home investigation, I'm always sure to explain that there are spirits walking outside.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want to come in, and it is your right to set boundaries. It is your right to say, this is my house. You're not allowed here. You can walk outside all you want. I tell them, I say, I go as far to say, you're not allowed in any of our cars either, you
Yep.
know, but you can walk outside. That's fine, but you can't come in here.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
uh,
One thing I've learned that I promote the heck out of is when it comes to people taking over their space and owning it, make sure you say this is my sacred space. This is
okay.
mine. Take ownership. Don't say it's my safe space, because when you say safe, you're putting out in the universe that you are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
So you're bringing that towards you. Own it. Say it's my sacred space. This is mine. You're not allowed to be here. Only who I choose is allowed to be here. But
Right.
use that word sacred, because you got to be careful what words you use, because what you put out in the universe, you get back. And the
Right.
universe only understands words, certain words. Like can't, it doesn't get that.
Yeah.
So when you say, I can't do this, or I don't want this, it hears, I want, I can.
Yeah.
So you got to watch how you word things.
I read somewhere recently that the universe doesn't speak in words, but it speaks in frequencies. And when
Yes.
you're using that frequency of you're not safe, or you're fearful that you won't be safe, that is a frequency that you are putting out into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there's all different levels on the way you
mhm.
speak, the words you use. You know,
Yeah.
you just got to watch how you say things.
Yeah.
You know, think about when you talk to someone. You could say, you know, oh, hi, how are you? Like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to want to be more interacting with? The more upbeat versus, oh, yeah, okay. You know, and that's the different frequencies you're putting out. So you got to remember that when you're working with the universe or you're working in the paranormal, what you put out is what you're getting back.
Exactly. And Sean says you should do a show on that.
Definitely.
UFOs at Gales. We
Um,
didn't touch on UFOs too much, but that could be a whole other show, I think, right?
there's been up at Gales, there's been a lot of sightings. A lot of people have experienced things. I had a moment that I wish I would have had my camera or my phone handy.
Mm.
I remember I was sitting outside this train that we were talking about earlier, this train car. I was smoking a cigarette, because you can't smoke in the train. Obviously, it's all antique. You don't want to ruin it. I'm sitting on the porch. I'm smoking. I'm looking at the sky, and I see this ball. And this sky looks about this big, and this is like a football field away. And I'm looking at it, it's glowing. I'm like, all right, is that an orb? Because I don't really put too much stock into orbs.
Yeah.
What is this? I'm staring at it. I'm staring. I'm like, finally, I finished my cigarette. All right, I'm watching it. It hasn't moved. You know, you figure a long cigarette, it's like 7 minutes, 8 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to smoke it. The minute I took my eyes off, went literally in the door, grabbed my phone, and come back out. 2 seconds. Gone. Nothing else. Nothing there. So was it a UFO? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of leaning towards that side of things. But there's been others that have seen things in the skies up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've taken part in CE5 experiments, and we've tracked things in the skies that none of the equipment said that anything was there. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a satellite. Everything was air traffic control was being monitored, and there are still things moving in the skies that,
Yeah.
you know, we had no option of what it was.
Yeah. And you said you don't put too much stock into orbs. I don't either,
Yeah. You know, I
especially
believe they're
photographic
real.
ones.
I
Yeah.
believe they're real, but most of the people that you see, you know, they say, oh, this is an orb. Well, there's bioluminescent bugs. There's dust that
Mm-hmm.
show up on our night vision cams. You can explain a lot of them. Now, there are some out there that you can't explain away.
Yeah.
And you can break down and go, well, maybe it is. You know, they're balls of energy. That's all an orb is. And I believe in energy and transference of energy. So, yes, I do believe in them, but I don't put a bunch of stock into them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell people too, I have not seen one with my own eyes. I want to, hopefully one day. But
Yep.
everything that I've learned and been told from people who have been doing this for a very long time is that true orbs you can actually see with your naked eye. You don't
Yep.
need a night vision camera. You don't need your ring cam. You can see it with your own eyes. So
Yeah. And if I was gonna say that something's an orb and be 100% sure on it, I better see it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I got people who send me footage all the time that, hey, check this out. And you look at it, and maybe one out of every 1,000 or two literally is unexplainable.
Hmm.
Which then you're looking at, well, maybe it is an orb. Or a lot of it, like I said, bugs and dust.
Yeah.
I seen one the other day that I can't explain. It's in 10 below weather on a ring cam, so it can't be a bug.
Right.
And you don't see any snow flying or anything moving out in the yard, but you see this thing come into the frame and come back out.
Hmm.
That one I can't explain.
Yeah. It should leave you speechless. That's what it should do.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And hopefully I'll have an opportunity here come spring to go out to this property and actually
Mhm.
investigate it.
Awesome. I'm
I was
keep
talking to
my
these
fingers
people about
crossed
it,
for you. Yeah,
right?
that would be amazing. There's a Paulding, let's see. There's the Paulding lights. I've heard of Paulding lights.
Heard of them. I've never
Mhm.
experienced them.
Okay. Orbs
You
that
know,
are unbelievably wild.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen a few specials on the Paulding lights. Some say, "Oh, it's headlights from the road and this and that."
Hmm.
For me to say whatever it is, I'd have to go up and experience myself.
Yeah. I think that's so true for so many of us investigators is that, like you said, we're investigators and
Yeah,
we can't make these things happen. So it's one thing to hear about the stories and about, the alleged activity, but we really do need to experience it ourselves and hopefully gather data as well,
yeah,
because that's also what we do as investigators and researchers is we're not just going there and recording or, just going to have fun. We have this data. And the hope is to be able to use it one day to prove one thing or another. Like
yeah,
that's real science. So
exactly. But
yeah.
you know what? The hard part with science and the paranormal is, if you think about it, how hard is it for us to get our kids to do the same thing multiple times in a row?
Yeah.
How are we going to get someone that we can't even see do the exact same thing multiple times in a row?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so that's the hard part. But there are things that we can do that bring it to be the possibility
Hmm.
of being legit. I've known mediums that have gone out other teams, and the medium sitting in a corner kind of laughing at the team because the team's like, "Can you light this up?" And you're like, the dude's in the corner laughing at you, going, "I ain't fucking with this guy. Oops, sorry, my language. I ain't messing with this guy. I ain't gonna. Why do I want to interact with this guy?
Yeah.
And a lot of that's the energy we put off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just the lack of evidence doesn't mean it ain't real.
Exactly. All right, we'll take a couple more questions or comments here, and then we'll start wrapping up. Road trip to the Paulding Lights. That sounds like
Come on,
fun.
find me a weekend I'm off, and let's do this.
Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. Menominee?
Menominee.
Menominee, thank you.
Yep,
Man
that's
told
the
me that.
tribe to the north of us.
Okay. Uh, Big Feet being an interdimensional being, travel in orb form. Oh,
Yep.
interesting. I haven't heard
There's a
that one.
lot.
Okay.
There's a lot that believe that he travels in orb.
Hmm.
A lot of times you'll get the spaceship, the orb, and the Bigfoot all in one story.
Mm,
So that's where something, well, maybe he's from space. Um, in all reality, if it was me, if I had an alien ship that came down over my woods, I'd probably be going the other way too, and the orb would be following me.
hmm.
So I really don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, with him being interdimensional, maybe he can shrink down into an orb. Maybe that's how he
Hmm.
moves so quickly.
Hmm.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Hmm. Or
What I like to
perhaps it's not interdimensional. Maybe it's more astral projection.
very well could be. You know, that's one thing. Have you done any study with astral projection?
I haven't.
All
Mm,
right. I
yeah.
would suggest looking up J.W. Prather and the Worldgate Travelers Project. He's
Transfer.
he's
Okay.
doing some stuff with astral projection and all about with science and doing this. He's taking ancient science and bringing it to the new era and monitoring everything while you do your astral projection. I had a chance to meet up with the man this summer. He's amazing,
Interesting. Okay.
phenomenal work. It's something to really look at.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So where can people find you?
All right. Well, Bobbie RezNeck Calkins on Facebook. Bobbie RezNeck Calkins on TikTok. I'm just getting to the TikTok thing, so I don't have much up there. Red Road Paranormal on YouTube. Also, you can either email me at RezNeck, NECKINK, Inc. at gmail.com or Red Road Paranormal at gmail.com.
I will put all of that in a comment after this goes live, guys, because I cannot type that fast. So I
Yeah.
shared with the community recently. I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys, I am so dyslexic. Truthfully, I could barely write my name. So yeah, it
I
took me a
hunt and
minute.
peck. That's how I
Yeah.
type. Maybe you get a third finger up there once in a while. So don't feel bad.
So I will get his email into the comments after this goes live.
Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any quick questions before we start wrapping up here? We need to
Love you
go
too,
there.
Teresa. Teresa threw up hugs. So
Hugs.
love to all you guys that tuned in
You
tonight.
guys were
Thank you for the
awesome.
love.
Thank you for all the questions and the comments and
Yeah.
just being so active in the comments. I love seeing it. Uh, it'd be at my slow times. Oh, okay, they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Bobbie, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on. It was fantastic meeting you and
Yeah.
talking with you. And like I said before we went live, I really enjoy getting to know a person's personal theories and
Yeah.
what they're all about. And I really enjoyed talking with you tonight. And I think our
I
audience
had a
did too.
blast with
So
you. So
awesome.
now we'll have to bring you on Red Road sometime. We'll continue these conversations.
That would be fantastic. Would
Yeah.
love that.
And we'll have to make sure Heather knows that, we have a rain check. She owes me one. Since
Yes.
she couldn't make it tonight, hopefully she's doing well and getting the rest she
I
needs.
see. I'm going to talk to her first thing in the morning. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
letting her rest. I'm not going to bug her.
Yeah. Don't
Um,
bug her tonight.
no, absolutely not. So, guys, I'm going to try and get some banners going up here. There we go. Follow us on Facebook, Ghost Education 101. We are also still working on that website, hoping to have it up in the next month or so. And join us January 28th with special guests. Oop, that was you. It had not been updated yet. Sorry. Oh, here it is. Barnaby Jones will be on the show. Sorry, guys. I'm a newbie here.
That's okay. I
Barnaby,
know Barnaby.
I will be on
Yes.
vacation next week, but Heather will be on, and she is going to be chatting with Barnaby Jones. So that is going to be fabulous. I am sure I'll be driving back home the next day. So hopefully I have I can get some good connection and I can actually rewatch while my husband's driving and I'm in the passenger seat. So, and then the week after that, Heather and I will welcome CPRI onto the show for a panel discussion on science and the paranormal. So
Nice.
thank you all so much. We had a blast, and we will definitely have Bobbie back on at some point in the future. And we will see you all later. Have a great night.
Take it easy, guys.